everybody, it's Sharon here. Welcome back to my channel for those who are returning, and welcome to any new subscribers that may be visiting for the first time. So I'd like to make some ephemera today, but before I start on that, I did want to show you the pockets that I have finished off. Really loving the way they've turned out. So that's the first one, and I've just sewn the lace across the top. The second one with the lace across the top and the ribbon trim across the bottom, and as you can see, it's across the bottom on the inside as well, and I've just used a different stitch across the bottom. And the last one I have stitched all the way around, and I've also stitched around these fabric pieces, and because I did that, I've attached a piece of tea stain paper at the back just to stop any catching on those stitches, because there were quite a few stitches in the middle of the card. I have them in order. I've actually gone through my journal already to decide where I'd like to pop them, so I've got them in the order. I have moved a couple of things around, not a lot, but just a couple of bits and pieces. So that's in the first signature. I'm not going to flip you through everything right now because you've seen it all. I've been showing you as I go. All I've done is change the pages of a couple of different pieces. Just popping these in. And lucky last. Catching on the page, I might get a different one. Okay, so we are getting quite a few pieces of ephemera in our journal, which I'm really excited about. Probably more than I thought I might be able to manage to get done. I have some tea stain manila folder here that I actually cut them into tags before I tea stain them, and I'm just going to create some simple tags. I do have a hole in this one just here from the fastener that goes inside some manila folders, and I've left that in there. I thought it was a rather cute detail. I'm not particularly worried about it. If it covers when I decorate the top of it, that's great. Okay, I'm really sorry about that. I was interrupted by the phone, so I probably should have stopped to have lunch before I came back to you. Time is flying today, but I really want to get these done. So I'm hoping my belly will be kind to me and let me do this first. Who has time to eat when they're crafting? Okay. So just a quick ink all the way around. I don't want anything too heavy. Seriously, I love these tea stain manila folders. I think I really would be happy just to put them in as they are, like, and let them journal on both sides or decorate one themselves, but they do come up really beautifully with a very simple. Well, I don't know what I have on that one, but it's distracting me. Sorry, I was going to say with a really simple embellishment. So, okay, I'm just looking for a stencil. I do have my Mandela ones, which I wasn't actually thinking about, but I think they could be really, really pretty on here. And I'm thinking maybe this crisscross one, which I designed myself. Most of these I've designed myself using my Cricut. The Mandelas are from noirart.15. I really hope I've got that correct. I will link them in the description below. And I have permission to use their mandalas in my journals, which I'm so, so grateful for. So thank you so much to the creator of those, because I just love them. And I'm looking for my little brush. So just checking that I'm recording. So initially when I picked up the mandala, I was like, maybe I could just do that in the middle, but I think I just want to do bits. I'm not looking for a heavy application. That's really subtle and I love that. And I'm using the walnut stain to tie it in with the colours that I already have. Fabulous. And then I'm going to do just a light application on the back as well. Just to add a little interest. Fun, 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 fun. Okay, so that's one. I might clean those off once I finish videoing. And then just turning it around to try and get a grip of it properly. Oh, and I shifted it. I was going to see if I could turn it around for you, and silly me, should have left it where it was. Should have known I wasn't that clever. Okay, love that. Oops, it's very slippery for some reason today. Or I'm very fumbly, I don't know which one. I love that that went on a little darker. Fabulous. Just a hint of something in that corner, and perhaps just a hint of something up here as well. Fun. Okay, so that's number 2. That's the back. And then number 3, I'm just using this crisscross pattern. Do I want it up and down, or do I want it... I don't think I want it too perfect. Okay, I'm happy with that. So again, just no rhyme or reason, just where I think. And as you see, I don't know if you've noticed, and I haven't mentioned, I am just doing 3 areas on both sides. So just sticking to my odd numbers. Okay, I'm happy with that. And that's the back. And I want to keep these tags simple, as I said, and I would be happy with them like that. I think they're really, really pretty. But I have printed some tissue paper. Now these were from limited edition, so AntiquePaperie, limited edition pack 90. And they're some fun little, oh, not that one. That was a mistake. I printed them 2 to a page, and they didn't, well, as you see, I had a little mess there, but they didn't quite come out large enough. So, and I have these ones. So they're my 2 choices. And I'm actually thinking of sticking to these more simple colours and tying in a little bit of that blue. It's not a perfect match for the blue, but I still quite like it. And I was looking at these earlier, and I think I've decided to use these 3. No particular reason, aside from I felt like I held them up against the papers that I'm using, and I felt like they were a good match against the tea journal pages with the blues in that. So I'm just tearing to get those out. Oops, and I tore that one where I shouldn't have. But considering how I use these, it doesn't really matter, because as you'll see, I'm going to tear them anyway. And that just tore a little uneven again, not the end of the world. Okay. After this one, and then both of these. Oops. Usually it tears really easily, but for today it just has a mind of its own. Never mind. And just so that you know, I've printed on this tissue paper so it's shiny side down. When you look at your tissue paper, there's a slightly shinier side and a slightly more textured side. I find if I feel it between my fingers, I can feel that one side is shiny compared to the other. If you hold it to the light, if you're not sure, if you hold it to the light, you can also see the shine easier. So I want to work out oh, I'm afraid my belly is starting to talk to me. Perhaps I really should have. I think they spoke to me. Okay. So I think I should have eaten before I came back in here. Okay. So I'm tearing these into 3. I'm going to go corner to corner and then roughly in the center. I have just found that that is what works for me. And so, perfect. Now I could do other things. I could stamp in the background. I do have a stamp out. Perhaps I'll do a little light stamping. So I have the Kaisercraft sheet music stamp. And I do have my stamping paper here. And I'm just going to leave it on the acetate. I have a T marked on my stamp for the top so that I know that that's the top of the stamp. Just going to move those to the side. And again, I'm using the walnut stain. And I'm going to do a secondary impression. So stamping off onto my stamp sheet, and that's all I need. I'm happy with that. So I'll leave that there because I've torn these, so I want to use them straight away. And I'm looking for my glue stick. I have things everywhere. I really need to clean. Oops, I don't know where that lace came from. I really need to do a tidy, but I'm trying to get this journal finished and I don't want to spend the time cleaning when I could be finishing this off. So just trying to get to the edge of my tag as best I can. And I'm going to tear that bit off because it's probably going to tear anyway. Going to turn it upside down to burnish. Fabulous. Okay. Again, I'm keeping this simple. And part of the reason I am is because I have really beautiful decorative pages on, or papers, sorry, on a lot of my pockets and things. So by keeping my tags and pieces a little bit toned down, I just feel like there's a bit of a balance. It's like yin and yang. Did I do that? Speaking of yin and yang, I think I did that upside down. but we'll go with that because it's still showing. I shouldn't have lifted that. It's still showing the pattern, but it's kind of different, so I like that. I'll see if I can zoom in to show you how that's worked, having it upside down. Not intentional, but a happy accident, I feel. It's muted the pattern down. It's almost like putting gesso over the top. And that probably occurred because I moved them earlier, and I think one of them got caught with the wind or something. I may have moved the tag, and I feel like it blew across my desk a little bit. I do know there was a lighter pattern at the top of this paper, but I feel like that's way too light. I like the contrast of that. I'm going to let that dry a little bit before I tear off those pieces. They tear off a lot easier once they've dried. Okay, so again, I like the look of the stamping on that. So again, I want a secondary impression. You can see how dark that first impression is on my stamp paper. I just like the subtleness of the secondary impression instead of the richness of the first impression. I'm going to stamp on this one as well while I have it here and ready to go. That way I can pop my stamp paper away. My stencil has just fallen down. I've got bits everywhere. Everything's a balancing act here at the moment. Good grief. Okay, I feel like I don't want it down there. Okay, happy with that. And I'm just looking at where my stamping is, so I think I want the bigger piece here. Usually the larger piece goes corner to corner, so if I pop it here, I'm going to pop it over my stamping, and I don't really want to do that. And I think I might be better to tear both of these before I start gluing, because my fingers are a little tacky and they're going to get worse. So okay, that'll be a really pretty detail down that side. And so this one here, I think I want the corner on this side, so I need to tear in the opposite direction. And then from the corner to the center. No exact science. Like that. Set that to the side, and I will glue this one. Sorry, I'm possibly off camera. I apologize. I do want to move that out of the way. I think I might need a new glue sheet. I'm just smoothing out that tissue paper with the back of my nail very gently, just to try and remove the creases as much as possible. You might decide you want the creases there. Okay, so I think I'm going to open up this page. I'm actually going to glue on here because I would like a full sheet for my next, so I can fold that one back over and attach it to this one when I decide that I need to change my sheet or page in my book. I hope that made sense. I really love the effect that this tissue has. It reminds me very much when I do this, it reminds me of torn wallpaper, and I just love it. I've done it with so many different limited edition papers now, and it works beautifully every time. I haven't had one that I've tried where I haven't liked the way it's turned out. It just looks like torn wallpaper. I think it's really, really pretty, really effective, really subtle. And each one is different depending on the layers that you use. So here we have 3 layers. We have the stenciling, we have the stamping, and then we have the tissue. And each layer is very subtle. And depending on what you use, they're all really different. Oops. Again, just using the back of my nail, I found that that is the best way to remove any of the creases without tearing the tissue. Of course, you may do it and find that doing it a different way works best for you. Being careful when you apply the glue to the tissue, because it does, as you see, it does crease up a little bit. I find if I don't add too much pressure, then I can usually glue on my glue book. Well, let's just say I haven't had to do it any other way at this stage. I've noticed some people that I watch apply the glue to what they're working on. Just got a little bit of lifting there. So I'm just adding a little bit of glue to the outside edge and pressing that in with my nail. And I've done that before, and it tends to dry clear, so you don't notice it when you do that over the top. Okay, so yes, I've noticed some people apply their glue stick to their project. So in this case, the journaling card. Sorry, my arm's in the way, guys. As opposed to the tissue paper. It can have to do with the quality of the tissue paper and obviously how tacky your glue stick is. My glue stick is fairly it's tacky, but it still has a little bit of give that the tissue doesn't stick to it and then not come away. So I find it's doable. your glue stick, however, may be different. So it's just a case of trialing what you have. But like I said, mine was curling or creasing underneath the glue stick, and I find when that happens, if I lift the glue stick up straight away and stop applying as much pressure, it helps. Okay, so I'm going to burnish that from behind, and I will also burnish this one because I didn't do it. Okay, oops, still got the lid open on my glue. So there are 3 tags. They are simple. I'm looking for my scissors and I don't, oh, here we go. Actually, I might get my tacky ones. If I left this to dry longer, I would tear it, but because I want to keep going, I'm just going to cut these little pieces off. My belly is really starting to say, you should have fed me before you turned the camera on. What were you thinking? Okay, now I was thinking about adding a little something. I'm thinking I'd like to pop a little butterfly or something on there. I don't think they're the right butterflies. I do really like these little butterflies. And oops, and I just I believe these are from FarMirage or ArtVintages. I really need to put labels on my ephemera folder, I've decided. I haven't been in my craft space much since Christmas at this stage, and it's funny, you come back after having a break and I just knew who they were before, but now I'm like, oh, who was that? Terrible. Really, really, really bad. So I'm loving those 2 butterflies. And I'm thinking perhaps just a neutral. I'm wondering if I want to. No, I really do prefer that one on there. And pop those away. I may just add a touch of glue. I just pulled at that and it came away. Sorry, quick repair while I'm on the go. That should hold that. Okay. So what was I just thinking? Got all my papers up here. They're all out of whack. Oh, actually, I've just had a thought. Maybe I can use that. I'm thinking I'd like to add labels, but I was like, AntiquePaperie don't have labels as such. I'm wondering if I can make some. And they will just look like labels. So I've inked, trying some distress inks around there, trying to decide roughly how big I would like these labels, and I'm thinking about there, just eyeballing it. make it up as we go. And I think right on that, there's just a fine white line that runs down the center of that page. Okay, so let's see if we can utilize these as little labels. So just distressing around the outside. And this one has a little more distress on it because I was testing it against the papers in my journal. So I wanted to be able to see it defined really well. When I was thinking about using just normal journaling paper as labels, I was like, you could distress around it just to give it an outside edge so it looks like a label. You could also get a marker and rule around it or freehand around it to make it look like a label. So you don't have to rely on the digital label kits that you get if you don't want to, or if it's not quite in your budget at the minute. So they're just relatively plain backgrounds, and I can make little labels using those. And I could even go that way if I wanted to. I'm just wondering, I've got a little bag of scraps here. And I don't want anything too heavy. It's this little piece. Want it that way. I think I like that. I do need to ink my butterflies. Again, part of me would be really happy to just have the tag as it is without the extra embellishments. I think a little fabric topper on that, and if you're looking for just a simple tag, I think it would be a really beautiful touch. But I am going to just add a little bit extra to them. Personal preference, really. Okay. And these labels, because we've made them out of scrapbooking paper, they are just on journal paper. If you have matte photo paper and you've printed some of your papers on there, which I actually have, but I hadn't done it for these background papers, so that will make them a little bit more sturdy. Probably wish I had scooched over a little bit more on that, but we'll make it work. I'm not sure it's adhered really well to that fabric. I don't think it's too bad. So I am getting some of the texture through onto the label paper, but they're not going to write, you're not going to write a lot of information on the label, so I think that still works. Matte photo paper probably would have been a better choice to layer over things, but I really love that. And I'm just going to do a very, very simple calico tab, sorry. My little scraps of calico here. Okay, and I think I'll possibly sew all the way around, I'm thinking. My fingers are tacky and I was trying to pick my fingers up off the calico to move them and they just wouldn't move. Okay, I love that this is negative space down here, so really happy with that. And then journaling space on the back. And again, remembering that these are tags, so whatever you add to the front is going to cause texture and bulk when trying to write on them. So these layers aren't overly thick, which really works. Okay, so for this one, with that in mind, I'm thinking maybe a little bit of cheesecloth, perhaps. Honest to goodness, I've said these are simple tags, and they really are, but I feel like this video has not been very simple, and I don't know why. The interruption didn't help, that's for sure, but I'm actually liking that over there. Okay, so I think I'm going to pop my label down first. So in line with that stamp. And it's things like this, it's the clutter that I have here because because I have things that are caving in on me. I don't know about you, but I get to a point. I can deal with clutter until I get to a point, and then I'm like, nah, I'm done. I need to tidy up. Well, I'm about at that stage now. I'm just like, I just need to tidy my space. I think I want to go that way. So using my art glitter glue. I don't know how I manage without art glitter glue. I really don't. It's just my go-to now. Not for everything, but for a lot of things. The finer details I'm noticing it's wonderful for. And things like this netting that a little bit seems to go a long way. I would have a lot of excess. The fabric glue worked really well as well, but I would have a lot of excess with it. Okay, and I'm loving that there. I do want to add just a little bit here. And I know that this is covering part of the label, but there is still room there to write. Oops. Even things like putting the pin in the art glitter glue at the moment seems to be a task. Use some paper towel. See, I have things buried and sitting in places that they're not normally sitting. It affects my efficiency, I feel. Okay. I love that. I really, really love that. Love the cheesecloth over the top of the label. Okay, so this piece is a little uneven. I'm wondering if I can tear and straighten it. Nope. With a bigger piece maybe. Oh well, we can use that piece, so that works. Yep. Okay, tag number 2. Again, I will sew across the top. Not sure if I'll sew around all of it or not. I'll make that decision when I go to sew them. Love it. And then tag number 3. I really like that cheesecloth, so I think I'm going to go with that again. Probably not quite that big. And that will do the job just nicely. Okay. finishing that down. And so I stuck to my fingers really well. Just trying to remember the shape. Oops. Oops, excess glue coming through that cheesecloth, and then a little butterfly. Making sure I'm burnishing the right side. And I need a little topper for that one. Wondering if that will be too, I think that might work. This is a thinner topper. I think that should be okay. And again, I'll sew that on. Not sure if I'll sew all around. I am noticing my butterflies are very close to the edge, so that may determine whether or not I do sew all the way around or whether I just sew the topper on. Golly gosh, my glue started to dry in that nozzle just in that small amount of time. Okay, so let me see. So they are our 3 tags. They took me a little bit longer than I anticipated because I thought I would have time to do a second set of tags in this video, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave the video at that. And I really, really love them. They're the backs. Beautifully stenciled, just a little bit different from each other. I love them. I think they'll be really pretty. And I will probably use those in my layered pockets, I'm thinking. That was my idea behind those. So thank you so much for joining me. Please don't forget to like this video. Give me a thumbs up if you've liked what you've seen. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification so that you don't miss future videos, and select all. Otherwise, you will only get bits and bobs of the videos that I upload. Always feel free to comment. I love to hear from you. And thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you soon, everybody. Happy crafting and bye for now.